Okay, let's just check. Do we need the mic or no?
Nobody has needed it.
So the changes that occurred, welcome everybody, welcome YouTube. The changes that occurred this morning for this, of course, were last minute and not what I wanted to do. I did not have the singing or this in the plan, but there were a couple of people that insisted, and one of them you know, well the other one you know because he's famous. But before I do those, let's just do, did everybody read the description of what today was? You remember that?
No.
Here's what's really happening.
Didn't get it.
Are we shifting or playing a part in the shift? That was the title I had for today. And the description was, it's been over 3 long years of this current history-making human event. Evolutionary step. Are we heading anywhere? Businesses of all kinds, medical facilities, people of all walks of life seem to be having difficulty just getting through their days. Families are battling within their ranks. I guess you could say chaos has become a way of life for some. Welcome to another of Salvatore's continuing moments of clarity, evolutionary truths, conversations with the dead, meetings with ETs and aliens, reactivating dormant DNA, and simply trying to make sense of it all.
In an hour and a half.
So, let's give David Cassidy a moment, because I pulled his message up. And it's not a new message, but it is good. Because I felt like I was honoring him with these 2 songs, so I thought, all right, let's pull it up and review, because this is what happens with all this information. I cannot retain everything and every lesson and every wonderful piece of wisdom that is in these messages. So even I have to go back. I watch my own YouTube channel, because it's nice to have somebody reading the messages to me instead of me listening and taking dictation. So that's why I think we hear the same messages over and over and over, because it's not in the DNA. It's not grounded yet. And let's see what David had to say. I didn't have a chance to read this. You know, the one thing that got me when I passed, how fast my life went. Decades seem like a lot of time in years, but at the end, it seems like a blip in time. Don't misunderstand me. I know I did a lot, experienced a lot, but now it seems so small and almost insignificant. The reality soon set in to what life is and why we came to earth to live it. We really do come to experience God's love in this dimension. Sounds so simple, and yet look at how hard it is for so many souls to experience love. We come into this life not knowing much, no matter how your old soul is, or how old your soul is. I know a lot now. However, we each get a chance to go as deep as we want with our understanding of this truth and to experience it here while we are alive. The issue we all have in going deeper is we also get to create all kinds of experiences that can be exciting, but also take us far off course from the truth. For me, this level of excitement and loss of control had me feel rebellious and self-destructive. I know, it sounds so ridiculous when really my life success was handed to me. But you can see how fulfilling someone else's creative vision, although it may get you to the top, it can also clash with your true self and nature. You know all too well, Aries must be themselves through and through, or they feel like a fake, a fraud. Also, the real level of creativity that needs to come out gets stifled until we feel our way to its rightful expression. You've experienced this and know it leaves you feeling discontent. In my case, I kept trying to take what was given to express in the areas I wanted to, Although exhausting, it allowed me to express what I so desperately needed to get out. You, on the other hand, are quite different. You have struggled to express what you want, but allowed yourself to do without, just to stay out of the fake arenas. Now, however, you will be changing that in a big way by refusing to be staged and finally accepted that you need to bring it, the whole you. It's almost like you'll be rewarded. Why? Because this is the greatest gift of self-love, to express. You trust yourself fully. Also, you get to touch lives, which is what all public figures are doing or get to do. Don't ever forget that part. When I was young, I had no idea how far-reaching my life expression, fake or not, would go. My TV persona shaped lives. That power is something you don't want to F with or take for granted. Your good friend Fred Rogers knows and lived by this. So as you enter this new exciting year, this was back in 2018, look at these new avenues and break into the real you to loving express yourself and touch others. Okay, that's good. So, of course, he was a fellow Aries, and what is Aries here to do? Express themselves, right? This was the year that I started doing groups all over the valley. You guys were the first group that I did because of meeting Heather and kept me going before I went in to doing groups in Arizona, because I had done groups in other states, but not here. So 2018 was a really big year for breaking out and doing all these spiritual groups. So you can see the new people that are here. This is a little bit more than some of the TV mediums you would see, because I sit at the computer and just take dictation, which allows the spirit to say whatever they want as long as they want, or until my fingers get tired. So I thought that was a nice message. Actually, it was pretty good even for now. You find a lot of the messages are timeless, right? That doesn't matter when I wrote that. Somebody will resonate to that way into the future. So the other surprise that I have, today's full of surprises, is someone you know and love dearly that I've been waiting to give a moment, and she really got to me yesterday morning. She was a little bit snarky. Lynn. Yeah. Now a lot of you thought I would write from her right away, but for some reason my life was a little bit going in multiple directions and I never got to her. So here's what Lynn had to say to all of you. This is
Which Lynn?
Norman.
Norman, not Carlton.
No.
She was 97.
The 98-year-old lady?
Yeah. Do we remember who Lynn is?
Little Lynn.
Lynn, who walked like this,
Pam,
kind of hunched over.
She passed before you.
Yeah, she passed, 5 months ago?
March.
March of this year.
I don't remember. Yeah, this year.
So here's what she had to say to you guys. Well, first she addresses me. I've been waiting for you to finally get to me. Wow, have you been a busy beaver writing from all these people and beings? I knew you were gifted, but this really does take the cake. What was left to say? I had really lived a long life, and as some of you know, I could not wait to leave. I know how silly that sounds, but at that age, I can say my life was full and definitely done. I was sure of it. As for all of you in this wonderful group that I have enjoyed for more years than any of you can remember, I am so grateful. The love I have for you has only expanded with my new awareness of what love really is. It really is what we are made of, deep down, at our core, when you clear out all the shit. Ha ha ha. Oh yes, I can curse if I want to. But not out of any lower emotions. No, simply out of fun and love for all of you. It is a trip crossing over and seeing the so many that have been waiting for me to get here. Of course, all the usual suspects, Jesus, Mother Mary, and many from that crowd. Then my family, including my many ancestors I had never met, but were keeping an eye on me. Oh, here is a tidbit you should remember. There are many that have helped us divert danger throughout our entire lives. Yes, we each may have had a time or two when we could have been seriously injured or even died prematurely. I want you each to know that you have been saved. I had to do that. You know exactly what I thought about religion. I often wonder if that's where all the brainwashing started.
Of course it is.
So you have each survived another year of these crazy times that are not ending anytime soon. Just a heads up, there is more to come that might shock some of you, as many of the traditional landscapes and things you thought would never change are going to change. Some of it will be fun to watch, but some of it you might want to turn away. You know, like a bad car accident. I'm also aware of the current earth changes. Water seems to be running amok in some areas and not much at all in others. It really is as if the world has been turned on its axis. I don't believe any of you will have any concerns in Arizona. There may be some flooding this year, but I don't think it's coming to your areas. I don't want to glorify death and lead you to hurry your way across the veil. But I want you all to know that you have nothing to fear. When your time comes, just breathe a sigh of relief and come join the others. You each will have your own welcoming committee, and you might be surprised at some of the ones that show up. Remember, some of the people you crossed off your list, well, they are there, whether you wanted them or not. Yes, they crash your party, and you know what? You love them for it. There is nothing left to harbor when you arrive. All of it just fades like dust in the desert. I really do love you all. You know why. Because that's all I can do now. I can't be mad if I wanted to. You might say, it's just not in me. And she was laughing. That was cute.
She came to our Halloween, we did a Halloween
Yeah, the go-go
outfit costume thing, and she was 94 at the time, she came as a go-go girl.
So this is some of the writing since my birthday party on April 2nd. These are some of the messages, and most of these are on YouTube. I didn't bring the messages of the current readings that I've been doing, but I just got a message to start on that stuff. So the current trend in readings has been family and ancestral clearing. And you know I don't plan this, I can't manipulate it, I don't know who's gonna find me or want a session from me, but I can give somebody here the credit because she started a ball rolling that I had no idea was coming, Marianne. Marianne came very innocently, we didn't know what was gonna happen, and she asked for one writing, and then she said, just be open to the second one and we'll see what happens. Well, it was the second one that shook our universe, okay? So what happens in these family sessions is we ask for people from the other side and you get to request, and I do writings just like you hear me reading. And if you don't know the two people you want, then I just ask who wants to show up, and that's what happened with Marianne. So what happened was a family member that was really abusive showed up and came clean on exactly what her energy was. And this was the shocker, because we have very linear minds. We think, well, that bastard is gone, good riddance, and we think they're gonna have the same energy on the other side, and if they come back, they're not gonna have anything good to say. But that is a total lie. That is not at all what happens. So as you can hear from Lynn, she can't even be angry if she wanted to, right? Because her soul went fully back into the love of the universe, and she can't, there's nothing else to do, So this is what happens with our family members. So this person comes clean. I don't want to divulge because she's here. I would talk behind her back if she wasn't here, but now that she's here, I have to be careful. No, but it was so amazing that what this person did for Marianne, was clarify the energy that we carry when we're alive, and sometimes it's really not good. And she was trying to explain to Marianne, that's what you have to learn. You have to learn that everybody carries a certain energy, and they may not evolve out of it. And that's what happens in abusive families. They stay in the energy, and they don't evolve out of it. There was a trend years ago when I was probably, maybe when I read for Judy or before Judy, there was a trend where a group of you came to me, and the trend back then was the one. And I think Dorothy was one of them, I think, if I remember correctly. The one came up, and the one reminded me of the first movie, The Matrix, where Neo was told he was the one, and he had no idea what Morpheus was talking about. He's like, why do you keep calling me the one? I'm not the one. What is this one thing, right? Well, in the trend back then, it was that a soul made an agreement to come to a family that was carrying really dark energy, and I kind of surmised it and said, hello, I'm here, I'm carrying a light, I'd like you to share it with me. And then they either go, okay, let's all go for the ride, let's go into the light with this, this new baby, this new family member, or they say F you and start pounding on you and punching you or screaming at you or psychologically damaging you until you wake up like the battered woman and have to leave. So there's not many ways that can go. Either the person, the people, the family that you're trying to bring the light to either sees the light and then goes with it and you all rise up together, or they reject it and you wind up, hopefully you wind up leaving at some point. So fast forward to the last 2 months, and the whole thing now is these family members coming clean, and everybody's talking in energetic terms now. So they're taking the lower emotional frequency things that we went through, and they're changing it into just that. These are the frequencies that were carried, and you don't need them. So now the ones that, this is bad for the survivors of families, because if you're walking around with somebody else's energy, then you're not really being your true you, because you're walking around with a damaged goods kind of feeling when that's not really who you are. So that will lead us into the programming that we've heard a lot about online and the DNA problems that humans are having in general, and trying to wake that DNA back up again. So I wanted to go over some of these current messages, and these are all from April till now. So there's nothing from the past here. This is all really current. And as I was going over them yesterday, I thought, oh my God, did I do all this stuff? And I thought I was living in solitude, and I didn't think I was getting anything done. And I was so upset about it. I felt like, you're not being productive enough. Well, the truth is, I'm not being productive and getting paid enough. That's what, I'm being productive. So that was my frustration. So the first two messages are from, we're gonna do ETs today. Because back in the beginning of the year, I was told this was the year of the ETs. Did I ask for that? No. That's how I know I'm supposed to do it. Every time I don't want to do something or it's not in the plan and it comes to me, I know I have to do it. That's just punching my ego in the gut, like, this is what you're doing. And that's how I know what the higher road is. The higher road is very often not what I requested. And you'd say, well, why would he do that? Well, think of examples in your own life of the things that you wanted to do, where you wanted to go, and all of a sudden your day becomes a train wreck because none of the things you had planned that day happened. And you can't tell me through the last 3 years this has not happened. I don't care about the past too much, but just these last 3 years, you cannot tell me that every plan you had has worked out. And if one, just raise your hand. I want to know who thinks that's true, that every plan. Just raise your hand, let me see. Just for you two, nobody's raising their hands, okay? Just so you know. Because we know all of us have not been able to stay on any particular plan. It just has not worked. And people who are still working, they're having the same problem. They're trying to stay on the plan of their job and they can't. They just can't, some of them can't just function, they can't function, right? So back in April, I'm just trying to remember how I got connected to this group. I don't know, somehow the Anunnaki came up. I think it was from a Jesus message. I think Jesus said, you might want to write from the Anunnaki and the Arcturians, you may find them interesting. Well, as my best friend gives me suggestions, I often follow through just because it's him, you know. So, let's pull out some juicy nuggets here, what they had to say to us. Now, let me ask, has everybody found my YouTube page?
Yeah.
Everybody, anybody who's not, well, the new people don't know.
She did.
No, okay. So the thing is, if you really want the best free information on the internet, go to my YouTube channel. Because the one thing that they have been guiding me through is to really listen to me, myself, and the guidance that comes through all these different beings. I don't feel there's any manipulation. I don't feel there's any dark energies with anything that I do. I don't feel like I'm being manipulated at all. And usually I'm kind of high now when the work is this good and when the readings are this good. When I was with Mary Ann and her other family members over the phone, we all left those sessions high. And I remember years ago reading for people that were in really, really difficult life situations, and I felt so drained. Though I said, I don't know how am I gonna go through life doing this work? It's killing me. So now I do a lot less, but the quality is a lot higher because I think as a race, there are more and more people wanting to heal, wanting to receive, wanting to know something else than where they came from, which was not the case before. 30 years ago when I started, and 20 years ago even, and even maybe up to 15 years ago, most people that came were feeling like a victim and were stuck in a lower energy, or they were having revenge energies, or so just one of the lower things going on, jealousy, you know, whatever it was. Now it's more of a hunger. It's like, I know there's something else. What do you have to tell me? I want to know. And actually, I remember me and Wendy, we had a great session too. And I'll never forget what happened with you with the three wise priests, right? Yeah.
The priest, yeah.
Yeah. She had a tremendous visitation from 3 wise priests from Jerusalem. Now, Wendy's Jewish, so in the reading, and it's probably on your recording, she corrects me. She said, they're not priests. They're rabbis. And I said, no, they said priests. And then we found out later that they were called high priests. They weren't called rabbis back then. Very interesting. We get all these tidbits of history too that I don't know this stuff. So let's see if we can get some of the high points of the Anunnaki. They started out by saying that there is much humanity is still in the dark about. And that more and more was going to be revealed this year. For some reason, 2022 is a pivotal year for information coming out. And we will see some of the actions, but they also, this was very interesting, but there will remain many behind the scenes who will not be revealed. Some will simply finish their tasks and disappear, never to be heard of again. I thought that was kind of eerie, you know? And they said, yes, these scenes could be taken right out of a movie. So they had one wish for all of us, all of humanity, is that this leap in evolutionary understanding is swift, and that the most number of souls that can receive this information is large enough to assist in this current step. So let's take a moment on that. The one thing that a whole slew of these messages talk about is our bodies. We're getting a lot of information about what's happening to our bodies, and these multiple frequencies from different entities that are around the planet, as well as the central sun and other places where high frequencies are coming from, they have to go through our bodies. So if you're living, you really can't get out of it, you know, unless you're really just not meant, if the soul said no and you're just not doing any of this kind of stuff. But for many people, their bodies are being used to ground those frequencies into the earth. And I don't know that people really have an understanding of that. These high frequencies are not only going through you and bringing up things that are uncomfortable and pains in the body and maybe things with the mind, the forgetfulness that we're having and some of the other symptoms that we're having, but the higher purpose of the energy, besides what we need it for individually, is to ground the earth and just be supportive of the whole Earth's evolution also. So we're evolving personally, and so is the planet. So one of the questions that came up was, and this is later in the messages, actually I could jump ahead if I wanted to. No, I don't want to do that yet. I'm going to save that. So that's what what happens with me. I start spinning, and then I'm all over the place, and the order just goes out, and I'm so, this time, trying to be so linear. I thought, let's have some fun and try to be linear today. So, the other message that the Anunnaki said was that there was a lot about loving the self, and loving what you're here to bring, and getting more focused on joy. Now, Mother Mary was the first one that really got in my face about joy, because I come from a family that doesn't know what joy is. It was all about work. And I still have that program running, and I still get frustrated because I forget that even the work should be joy. The joy should be a river always flowing through everything. But I was brought up with a really angry dad who, was always screaming. And to give you a background of what happened the last 4 days, Heather knows part of this story, but she doesn't have the update. Well, you all know that the family and I had COVID back in the winter, right? So I moved out to the motorhome, and I forgot to empty one of the tanks after I recovered. So what happens in the motorhome is it holds all the wastewater, and then if you don't empty it, it backs up into the shower. The shower has a nice pan and holds a lot of water. This is the gray water. It's not horrible, but it has a bad smell. Well, for my birthday, I moved the motorhome, and those of you who were there saw the motorhome right off the patio. Well, when I moved it, that water spilled out of the shower and went underneath the floor. So now, within 3-4 weeks, I smell something. So in God's infinite wisdom, I got inspiration to go out and investigate and start ripping the floor up. So, it's not broiling hot now, but it is humid and you can't have it closed up. So I'm out there, the clothes were soaking wet. I was, from head to toe, I was dripping. The sweat is dripping in my eyes. I have to pull out a sink and the bed, and it's all this heavy work, and there's nobody there, just me. So I'm like, where are the men in my life? Like, where are they?
We all wonder where they are.
We all
And I don't have an answer to that. I'm trying to find one, but I don't know.
Coming.
So, so anyway, I'm in the middle of all this. Of course, I pulled up the floor, there's black mold, it's obvious. And so, in the middle of this, my volcanic temper is brewing. So, I get a call from a new client in Colorado, and he breaks that energy. And then I sit down, I have something to drink, I eat, and then I go back out. Well, the volcano did not go away. Within an hour, I was screaming at the top of my lungs, and I went inside and looked in the mirror, and my face changed. My face got so ugly because the energy that was coming out of me was so low, so awful, right? And I thought, what is this? And then I physically was getting sick. I thought I had COVID again, because the next day I was getting all mucusy and things were happening. I'm like, what is going on here? And this gets me into, sometimes it isn't yours. And Andre and I are the king and queen of talking about this. Well, was it your energy, or did you just pick it up and want to dance with it for a while and, suck it up into your body and just have a whole tizzy fit over it? Which I do. She doesn't, but I do. So anyway, this energy, yeah, it could be ancestral stuff, because that's where I come from. But then days later, I was making a lot of declarations that I'm not going to get sick. We're not doing this. There's no time for that. I'm speaking on Wednesday. I'm having a great day. I did all kinds of stuff.
He's not calling Heather and saying,
I'm not right. I'm not canceling. So, and there's no reason for me to cancel. I don't have fear of doing this. I can speak in front of anybody. It's the singing that still has the fear, and you can see that. When I sing home, I sing great. Concert for one. But when I go out, and I used to sing karaoke and not have fear, but for some reason, this is coming back up again. But as far as this energy goes, what I discovered in the last 3 days was the floods all over the world. And I don't think anything was tsunami related. I'm not sure on that. But I realized I was picking up on disruption. That's what empaths do. You know, you can pick up on energy and not even know where it came from. So it doesn't even matter where it came from. The truth is I had to have that temper tantrum to get it out of my system because it was already running through me. And in one of these messages they say, you have to let that happen. You can't control it. So not only do you have to let the lower emotions in you and maybe some of your family ancestry come out, but if there's a wave of energy that needs to run through you, that has to happen too. I was not really happy about that. Because I thought if I focused on peace, love, harmony, that's all I was going to get. Not true. Not true. And I was really not happy over this. It's like, oh, I thought we had that one down. So I want to talk about the Anunnaki's history. Just like Marianne's relative came clean about the energy she carried, the Anunnaki came clean on their lower behavior. And they were very honest. Let's see. We have been known to have agendas that were not seen to assist humanity. This would be true as we too were into control and conquer at one time. We have since seen the light, as some of you might say. Even we find humor in this revelation of our race. We never thought we would learn or be anything other than what we were. We thought we knew our role and then found out there was much more for us to learn. This was a very rude awakening. We were comfortable and did love our position in the galaxy. We felt we were in control and that we were above many others in the evolutionary scale. We were arrogant. We loved it. We say this with humor because we know you can fit this same scenario in your own lives with people you know. In some ways, our experience was quite similar. We were the ego maniacs, narcissists, control freaks. Yes, we can admit this now, but 200,000 years ago, we would not even think of it. We take the time to make light and poke fun at our own evolution because we can now. We could not then, just as your power-hungry individuals could never admit what they are doing is not for the benefit of themselves or others. They would most likely deny any attempt to show them the truth of their current ways. That was us. We also want to touch on the numerous ways humanity is getting clearer on its actions and reactions in the world, and that there is great hope at this time. We know that many of the messages